Hello there, welcome. So, today I'm going to attempt to tell you a bedtime story. I'm kind of going to be freestyling this. It's going to be a little weird though. It's a bedtime story, but there's going to be a lot of weird qualifiers with just everything. Kind of got this idea from a Tumblr post. I'd give credit, but it was a while back, and I have no idea who originally came up with the idea. So apologies in advance. But yeah, let's give it a shot. So once upon a time, in a time that was not at all recent, in a land that was probably far away, there was a young man who had never once stabbed anyone. He lived in a small village that had 0 cults, and his parents were perfectly normal and regular people, and had never been replaced by goblins. His parents worked, normal jobs that you would expect parents to work. Definitely nothing weird. His dad was a carpenter, and actually his mom was a stay-at-home mom. So this young man, whose name was probably Greg or Jebberson, yeah, I think maybe it was Glenn, short for Glenjamin. Yeah, so Glenjamin decided when he became an adult, and long after he was a child, because that's generally how time works, that he was going to set off on a great adventure. Now, the adventure would turn out to be almost as great as he thought it could have been, but not for the reasons anybody would have thought. So, at the age of adulthood, which is relative to whatever country you live in, and again, this was a place that was probably far away, so who knows. Glenjamin set off on his adventure with his trusty weapon at his side that, again, he had never stabbed anyone with, nor had he ever been convicted of stabbing anybody with this, and when leaving home, it was of his own volition and not because he had been chased out on suspicion of stabbing somebody. So he set off on an adventure completely of his own volition, not in exile at all, to see a large city, which he very much wanted to see, and was not merely going there because he didn't know of any other cities. So as he set off in this land, which had 0 radiation poisoning and dark magic, none of those things. He had been traveling for a couple days with his provisions that he had prepared in advance. They were perfectly normal provisions. There were no cooked gnomes in it. He had not stolen the provisions. These were regular provisions that he had purchased with legal tender, from his village, and had not stolen from any farms or stabbed gnomes and put them in his backpack. So he had plenty of food that was not made out of gnomes. And after the first day, he made camp and began roasting some meat over the fire. Again, not gnome. It was chicken, probably. The details of Glenjamin's journey, little. They're not the best, the most well known. So it's hard to say what exactly he was eating. It was probably chicken, because they probably had chickens in this land. They definitely didn't have any gnomes, and even if they did, gnomes are not edible. And even if they were, he wouldn't eat them. So Glenjamin made camp for the night and set up a fire, and he woke early the next day and set off. And this was not at all late at night, the same night, because he hadn't put out the fire and because it had set fire to everything and started a wildfire. He definitely didn't do that. So the countryside, which was perfectly normal and untouched and not ablaze, was beautiful in the morning light, and he began to continue his walk towards the big city. He was restless because he was very excited for this adventure, and not because he was being chased by the townsfolk on suspicion of stabbing somebody, which he did not do. And on his way, some goblins appeared, and I realize I'm saying "and" a lot. I need to get a little bit better about this storytelling thing, but first attempt. It's been a while since I've spun a tale, so apologies. What was I saying? Goblins, yes. So some goblins appeared on the road before him as Glenjamin pulled out his trusty sword that he had never stabbed anyone with, and was in perfect condition. He took up a ready stance to fight, and it turned out the goblins were not hostile. They waved hello to him. They talked to him. He was very caught off guard by this. And the goblins offered to walk with him for the next few miles, as they had said that the countryside he was in wasn't safe and that there were roaming bandits, and offered to help him, as they wanted to make sure that he made it through safely so that they would not be blamed if he got attacked. So, it's kind of selfless, but a little selfish. Two things can be true. You can have you can do kind things with ulterior motives, but also out of genuine concern. It's the world is complex, especially this world, which is probably not our world, because it's very different. So they continued on their way towards the big city, which definitely has a name that I know, but is probably not relevant to this story. So Glenjamin and the Goblins, which would be honestly a great name for a band, like a punk rock, or maybe a metal band. Glenjamin and the Goblins. That's fantastic. Feel free to use that if you make a band. We're traveling along the road. They continued into late in the evening, and eventually the goblins had to go home, but Glenjamin had a great time. He learned the goblins' names. They were probably something like Jenkins and Jeroboa and Gribulon and Seth. Normal names. And Glenjamin Gemin for short, or just man, continued on his way for another day. But it was getting late in the evening, so he made camp again. Again, a perfectly safe camp. Didn't set fire to any countrysides. Everything was safe, and he roasted another chicken or bird of some sort. Definitely poultry and not a gnome. Ate that for dinner, and then woke up later the next day. Was kind of later in the morning. Like a 10 a.m. kind of situation. Closer to noon. Brunch time rather than breakfast. But he slept really well, and that's the important thing. So he gets up, he eats his breakfast. My chair squeaked. I'm going to try not to fidget too much. Apologies. So he continued on his way towards the big city. And upon reaching the gate, the gate had guards for this city, and the guards, both wearing helmets and had a full head of hair. Neither of them were bald. All of the other people going into the city were just normal people. None of them were shapeshifters. And none of them were practicing dark magic on the side. Just normal citizens. So he goes up to the gate guards, and right away they're like, "We don't recognize you. We need to see some identification before you go in." And he's like, "Well, I don't have identification, but my name's Glenjamin. I'm from a small village." And he had left on this adventure on his own. He was in no way exiled or anything like that, and had definitely never stabbed anyone. So they the guards informed him, "Well, if you want to come into the city, you need to register for identification papers, and kind of state your business, what you're doing here, kind of thing." So one of the guards motioned to a guard in the gatehouse, and he comes out and leads Glenjamin in to do some paperwork. Now, Glenjamin, he's completely literate. Definitely, he knows how to read and write, so that's great for him. And so he's given paperwork to register for kind of like a passport almost situation. It's not quite that level of documentation, but something like that. And it's definitely not a contract where he's signing away his firstborn child or property he owns. He's not signing away his soul or anything like that. There are no dark wizards in this town, so it's that's very important to note, in this city rather. So he signs his paperwork. It's boring, uneventful. It's paperwork. It's like the old customs office. It's a DMV. He's basically signing up for like an ID. Yeah, because this time period, like I said, it's not recent. Not a recent time, and it's in a faraway land. They do things not the same. So that's why it's like a ye old customs office. So he gets all of his paperwork done, and he goes into town, or he's allowed into the city. He's told to stay out of trouble, and he definitely does. He doesn't stab any people while he's here. He's in the city. He doesn't kidnap and eat any gnomes while he's here. because there for sure aren't any. He's super nice to everyone. And while he's there, he meets a woman who makes pies. The pies are never poisoned. They're not full of deadly poison. It's a very nice lady who has no dark secrets or skeletons buried underneath her floor. But it's an elderly lady, and he helps her out. She's coming back from the market with her groceries, and he offers to help because his parents raised him, to be a gentleman. So yeah, he helps her out, and she offers him a pie. The pie is delicious. Again, not poisoned at all. Nothing weird in it. It's not enchanted either. It's not a magic pie. It's just a regular pie made with berries, probably, blueberry, maybe raspberry, that kind of thing. So delicious, delicious pie. And so he gladly accepts the pie. He's been on the road for a few days. It's delicious. And the old lady, who again hasn't poisoned anyone with pies, has no dead bodies under her floorboards, nobody in her walls, no skeletons in her closet, literally or figuratively. She's had a very normal life. Mentions that she's got an extra guest room in her house, and asks him if he has, a place to stay since he's new in town. And Glenjamin responds with, no, I just got here. I'm not sure where to stay. I was gonna stay at maybe an inn or something. And she insists he stay there for the night, at least while he gets his feet under him, because she hasn't had company in a while, despite making delicious pies. It's very weird, but not really suspicious. Yeah. So, oh, I forgot the old lady's name is Liz. She goes by Liz. It's definitely short for Elizabeth. It's not short for lizard or anything weird. So Glenjamin, he accepts. He feels that the old lady is being genuine, and is very appreciative of her kindness. So he stays the night in the guest room. She makes him breakfast in the morning with like regular bacon, normal eggs, nothing out of the ordinary, nothing super weird. Again, not enchanted at all. This lady is not a witch. It's very, very important to note that Liz is not a witch. And so he eats breakfast, and he goes on his way. And his first stop is, of course, the Adventurers Guild. He's already run in to goblins. Now, he talked with them. He didn't fight them, but like he's ready for adventures. He's never really stabbed anybody, as we've discussed before, but that's what he he does have a sword in case he needs to. He's gonna fight monsters and that kind of thing. So he goes and he registers with the Adventurers Guild, and that's the start really of his grand adventures from that point on. So I think that's a story maybe for another time if I ever get around to it. I know I had another story, like an actual less weird story that I did at one point I never followed up on, so maybe I'll do that one at some point. But yeah, also I had if you're watching this video or close to the time I am posting it, I have something in my community tab I'd like you to check out. I'm looking at potentially doing some like live stream ASMR, where I can talk to you guys and interact. You guys can ask questions. We can conversate, or I can just ramble. Whatever. We can talk about whatever. But something I thought about doing. It'll be a little different. I'm not used to doing the soft-spoken thing, in front of people. Um, but I think it might be fun. Um, so yeah, I've got a poll up. So if you want to check that out, please do. Vote for whether or not that's something you want to participate in. Just basically let me know. It would help me out a lot for trying to decide whether or not to do it. Um, and then if you actually want to comment and let me know what, like, if there's a specific time or day that works for you guys, that would be like a good time to do it. Like, if I do decide to do that, I'll announce ahead of time when I'm going to be live streaming, and what time, what day, and all that stuff. But I think it would be good to know. Anyway, other than that, let's see what else I want to cover. Yeah, if you're new here, thank you for watching. Uh, I do a lot of just kind of weird ASMR. A lot of it's experimental. More of it will be experimental. I do have some main series. I do like alien roleplay stuff, and cryptid POV, I think, is another one I do quite a bit of. So, yeah, if you're new here and you enjoyed this, you're still watching, and you're still awake, if you could, hit the like button, subscribe, that would help me out a lot. I'm trying to get to the point where I've got full monetization so that I can make money off the ads that YouTube puts on my videos, and it's not just, YouTube making money off my videos. But I gotta get to 1,000 subscribers for that. So, yeah, any interaction helps me a lot. You can, comment down below. Love reading your comments. Love responding to you guys. Yeah. And other than that, thanks for watching. Appreciate you being here. Yeah, God bless. Love you. Bye.